I have a lot of fun and exciting things planned for February, but picking a TBR was so hard. I'm really glad I had my TBR game to steer me in the right direction. It is the time of the month where we play Snakes and TBR Stacks, where I roll a die, I land on a prompt, and based on that prompt, I pick my read. If I land on a ladder, it's like a little reward, and I go up, and if I land on a snake, I have to add another roll to my TBR. I start with 5 rolls if I completed my TBR last month, and 6 rolls if I didn't. I did not, so we are doing 6 rolls this month. 1 book. I didn't finish 1 book. In February, I am participating in co-hosting Romantasyathon, which is a week-long readathon created by Tori from Tori Between the Pages. I'm so happy Tori asked me to be a part of this. I loved doing Romantasyathon last summer, and I think that this is my favorite rendition of it yet. We are going to a ball, and Tori has sent us an invitation. On our invitation, we get to pick a bunch of things. We get to pick what we wear, who we bring, what weapon we have strapped on us, and we pick all these things by reading books that correspond to prompts in them. Tori's going to be sharing little graphics for us on the Romantasyathon Instagram, so we'll see exactly what dress we picked and things like that, and I'm feeling the vibes. And then also this month, I'm doing a TBR swap with Books with Lexi, where we each play each other's TBR game, and we control each other's TBR. I'm a little bit nervous, and it made it really impossibly hard to pick for because I have no idea what she's going to give me based on what the prompts give her. I did this previously with Mel from Melanor Reads, and I'll leave that video linked down below. I thought it was a lot of fun, so I'm very excited to bring it back. I'm thinking, don't quote me on it, but I'm thinking bi-monthly, but we'll see how that goes because it does take the control out of my hands. But I think with that, I'm gonna go for a coffee break and we can get into our first roll. I don't know where my little pumpkin is, so we're gonna use this guy, but we ended on yellow or orange cover last time, and so here's our first roll. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We landed on black or white cover, which is a freaking easy prompt because so many of my books are black or white covers. And for this one, I'm picking up Ruthless Fae, which is the second book in the Zodiac Academy series. I read the first book last month and I gave it 5 stars. And so I want to continue. This is the year of me saying yes to binging books, saying yes to just being in the moment with things. And so I just want to get through as many series as I can when I want to. And so I will be binging the series hopefully all year long, as long as I continue to love them. This follows 2 sisters who are in the human realm when someone comes to their door and tells them they're actually Fae. They're actually the long-lost heirs to the Celeria throne, and they have an inheritance back home waiting for them. The thing is, they have to go to Zodiac Academy and they have to graduate in order to get that inheritance. These 2 girls are broke. They're living on the streets, pretty much. They're stealing for money. They want this inheritance. So they say, okay. They go to this school, and there are these 4 men who have been trained their entire life that they're going to take power because the heirs are missing. They do not want these 2 girls to succeed. They do not want these girls to stay there. So they try to bully them the heck out of Zodiac Academy. The girls are just like, I don't want the throne. I just want the money. But we have to stay here to get the money. And we watch all of that happen, and I'm having a great time. It's funny. It's quirky. I'm really enjoying it. I also do think that there's a really cool world building underneath it all, but I do think the characters come first, and you have to vibe with the characters to vibe with everything else. But there is like a cool system of like how the Fae are all powered and things like that. There are vampires, but they're also Fae. Like the vampires are Fae. They just like get their powers by drinking blood. There are werewolves, but they're also just still Fae. And I think that was kind of cool. So I'm very excited to continue in this series and read another installment and hopefully give it 5 stars. I gave it a lot of 5 stars in January, so I feel like the pressure is on for February. Roll 2. 2. 1, 2, we hit a wild and we go up the ladder. The board decided to be very nice to me and give me wild, and for this one I'm going to be picking up Feral Blood, which is the second book in the Bound to the Fae series by Eva Chase. I read the first book of this at the end of last year, actually in my TBR swap with Mel, and I had such a great time. It is a why choose shifter romance following our main character who is kept prisoner. She's saved by a pack of werewolves, essentially, a pack of shifters, and they take her back to their place and they still keep her prisoner, but they treat her a lot better because there's something special about her and they have to figure out what. and she kind of falls in love with them. So it is captive captee, but like honestly, they're not really holding her that much of prisoner in my opinion. Like she could try to get out if she wanted to for sure, very easily. I've been loving Why Choose because I think it really keeps the pace up for me because there's new men to get like invested in and there's always new characters doing things. I feel like the pace is constantly moving forward and I'm a pretty fast-paced person. Even with character work stuff, I just like don't want to be just like watching them watch TV constantly. I feel like we're constantly learning about all these different characters and so I'm very excited to continue this. This was such an easy read for me. I have the audiobook of it and I'm excited to binge this. You're gonna see a lot of sequels on this list this month. Roll 3. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Third person. That's not for you. Next up, we landed on third person, which was an easy prompt for me when I was in my epic fantasy days. But as a romantasy reader nowadays, third person is harder than I thought it was going to be. And I didn't pick romantasy. I ended up going with a horror that I potentially think that Lexi could pick for me. Potentially. And either way, if she doesn't, it'll be easy to read. And it's one that I'm really excited about, so I want to get to it, which is Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. This is just a short little novella. I've given Nat Cassidy pretty high ratings in every single book. He is one of my auto-buy authors. I love his stuff very, very much. I know not a lot about this one. Mel said it's a little slashery. We're following a character who's stuck in a rest stop and something's like haunting him or hunting him maybe. This says Nat Cassidy at his most unhinged. An absurdist carnival, a suffocating funhouse. Funny, beautiful, and scary as it gets. Gory, witty, and terrifying left me literally gasping. A locked room nightmare that spirals into mania. Or mania? Mania? I don't know how you say that. I'm excited to read this one. It's a little short novella and it's in third person, I think. I literally only read like one sentence and thought, I think that's third person and put it on. So if I'm wrong, don't come for me. It's too late. Roll 4. That's a 3. 1, 2, 3. Next up we have friend pick and I have asked a friend to give me a book. I do not have it yet. I will insert a clip of me when I get it. I asked Rainy from Rainy Blue Reads to help me. I really like Rainy's channel. We read a lot in common, so that's very helpful because I knew she'd pick something that I would probably love. She was in my booktuber favorites this year and I loved the things she talked about. I was very excited to get her choices. She gave me 3 options, one of which was Zodiac Academy 2, and since I already had put this on my TBR, this was off the table, but I told her this would have been a really good pick. But she gave me 2 other options and both are ones I would be very excited to read. I didn't want to pick myself, so I ended up putting it to Patreon for a vote. This is what Rainy said to me. I know you enjoyed Carrie Lake before, so I would recommend Master of Salt and Bones. It's a gothic dark romance. It's not necessarily fantastical, but it feels magical with the atmosphere and unnatural things happening in the book. It's a vibe. She did tell me to check trigger warnings, but I don't have any triggers. And then she said, and if you're like, no, I want fantasy in it, then I know you loved The Everseas, so another pirate mermaid fantasy romance I loved is A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Halley. It's a dark retelling of Little Mermaid, but the banter is so good. It's funny, but it's dark. It's just so good. So I put those to Patreon, and at this moment in time, which is when I'm ending the poll, A Ship of Bones and Teeth is winning by a landslide. So I will be reading that this month, and I'm really excited. I actually was almost close to reading this for booktuber favorites, so that's exciting. Roll 5. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Gods. That was a pounce. A main character or some aspect of it has to be about gods. It's pretty flexible in my opinion. And I'm picking up a sequel, you guessed it, to Storm of Secrets and Shadows by Melissa K. Rowick. I read the first book in the Legacy series last month. 5 stars. I literally read a 600-page book in one sitting. Like, I barely went to the washroom. And so I'm very excited to continue in this. There are definitely some god things happening in here. Essentially in the series, we follow the Legacies, who are gods like chosen, and they are put in a realm by themselves, and they are given the Fae to be their sources. And our main character, the female, ends up being chosen to be a source for the most ruthless Legacy family. We follow as we figure out what that means for her sense of self, for her sense of belonging, for what she wasn't trained for, and things like that. And then we also follow the Legacy as he is stuck with a very unconventional source. And I thought that this was an easy 5-star for me. It's dark, but it's riddled with so much rich world building, so many rich conversations on things. I absolutely fell in love with this series, and I need to continue like ASAP. So the second book has to go on my TBR. Like, this was a must for me. I don't understand like how I waited so long to pick this up, because this was everything to me. This is so freaking good. This is for the epic fantasy romantasy girlies. Hopefully our last roll. I actually think we're pretty safe where we are. Roll 6. 5. I see it. Do you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an audiobook, and we hit a snake. This one was harder than I thought it was going to be, but in the spirit of me being a binge reader, I'm picking Bound to the Fae, Kings of Moonlight, which is book 3. You saw book 2 earlier. I have the audio collection of books 1 to 3 already on Audible, so I know I will be listening to the audio format, and I know, like, when I stopped book 1, I knew I really, really wanted to continue, and it was actually hard for me to not continue, so I know when I'm reading book 2, I'm just going to want to continue on to book 3 anyways, so I thought this was a perfect book to put on here to get myself through a series. This is a 9-book long series, so I definitely have my work cut out for me on this one, but I'm very, very excited to just read it all. I am excited to be back with these characters and see what happens in this arc. I have a friend who read it, Claire from Claire's Neverland of Books, who said that like books 1 to 3 kind of feel like an arc and books 4 to 6 kind of feel like an arc, so I'm excited to see what exactly goes down in these books. I was excited to pick my books, so I forgot to tell you that we also hit a snake, and that was devastating because I thought that was going to be our last pick, but no, it wasn't. Let's see what we roll next. Okay, we could technically hit the same snake again. Hopefully we do not. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Building on the cover. We were so close to a snake. Of course, we land on a very hard prompt for me with that snake. The snake did us dirty. Building on the cover. This was hard. I didn't expect it to be that hard, but it was hard, and I'm also going with a bit of a wild card, one that potentially Lexi could pick for me. I think that I'm not as confident about Lexi picking this one for me because I actually think she doesn't think I'm gonna like it, and I have a feeling she's only gonna pick books that she thinks I'm going to like, which is valid and completely fair, and I appreciate that. But it is something that I do want to read and try since I do own it, which is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I mean, that's a building, front and center. I have tried Alexis Henderson before and I honestly did not love it. So why am I trying her again? I don't know, but I have this stunning edition of this book, so I do really want to try it. One of the Lennons in the mirror didn't strike its cheek. It didn't move at all except to smile. Weird. I've had friends like this, so I'm intrigued. I know that it's more fantastical than horror, which I'm a fantasy reader at my core, even though I do love horror. I'm a little worried it's going to be too slow, but I'm typically better off with slow fantasy than slow horror, so that could be okay. I think that this edition is so pretty. I love the like end paper art. So like I would love to keep this on my shelf, which means I need to read it and I need to like it. I honestly don't know anything about it. And there's something about a academy. She goes to a school setting, I think. And I think there's something about mirrors, but maybe I'm wrong about that. That is my TBR for February. I think that I will probably stray from it quite a bit. I mean, knowing TBR swap is happening, I think Lexi's probably going to pick a lot of horror and thrillers for me. And obviously I didn't put a lot of those on this TBR. And then with romantasyathon, there are a lot of prompts that I want to read for. A lot of them. So this will not cut it probably for what I want. And I would like to binge things. So if I'm feeling like I want to go straight into the 3rd book after this one, I may just let myself do that. Also, I should say that me and Mel run a book club together on our Patreon called the Not So Indie Archive. It used to be called the Indie Archive because we only read indie books, and now we are moving away from that just to give ourselves more success rate and like have more options and things we were super excited about because we were struggling picking things. And for February, we were actually reading Onyx Storm. I've already read it and Mel has already read it, and a lot of the patrons have already read it. We picked it, we told them that we were going to be reading it early, and they were all okay with that, and the channel will still be open all of February for people to discuss it, and we will be reading thoughts and stuff. But I did want to put it out there that that was our book club pick. We do one every single month this year, and so far we've had decent success. Only a month in, but we've read 2 of the books, so that's not bad. I just love reading things with people. I think it's a lot of fun. If you would like access to it, both mine and Mel's Patreons get access to it. Mine is my 2 top tiers. I know Heartless Hunter, the 2nd book in Heartless Hunter comes out this month, so I probably will want to get to that as well. There's too many books and too little time in my opinion. I would love to know what you're most excited about reading this month, and I'll leave my latest vlog on the screen for you to check out. I read some fun books in this one. And if you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a grape emoji, and have yourself an absolutely remarkable day.